Hello, it's the Way Show, and it's nice to be with you again on a Sunday, on this, well, rather wet Sunday where we are in London. My name is Wole, and another week is started, and it's so nice for you to obviously join us today, and on another live edition of the Way Show. If this is the first time you're watching the show, you know what to do. Please subscribe to the show, and obviously look at our past videos, okay, and like those videos because we had some pretty interesting people we brought to you on this show so far this year. And as we move towards the festive Christmas season, and obviously going into the new year 2021, we also intend to bring you more exciting people on this show. We'll be discussing quite a lot of wider range of issues ranging from industry, lifestyle, sports, entertainment, what have you. We've had that in the past 31 episodes. This is the 32nd episode of The Way Show. So, and again, on this 32nd edition episode of this show, we have tonight the founder CEO of the African Sports Tourism Week. So today, going by the person we've got today, we're going to be talking about sports tourism in Africa. So, in person of Prince Deji Ajomale-McWord, I'm going to ask him why the double barrel surname as the show goes on, because it's quite interesting, very interesting names he's got. So, today we'll be discussing sports tourism and destination marketing in Africa. Why should people all over the world decide to want to come to Africa? Why should they want to come? So hopefully the Prince is going to be talking to us today about why people from this side of the world, in Europe, in Asia, in the Americas, should journey to Africa for sports tourism. Welcome to the addition to this show today, Prince. It's so nice for you to join us all the way. You are sitting comfortably in Nigeria like a proper prince, and it's nice for you to. It's nice to talk to you today as we kick on sports tourism. But before we go into sports tourism, Prince, your surname Double Barrel, and the last of us double barrel name McWord. Tell us about that. How come that name is not really very synonymous with Africans? Especially Nigerians and especially Yorubas. So why McWord? If you can hear me, Prince, I think, okay, yeah, go on. We can hear you now.
Okay. McWord is my pen name. It's
Okay.
I'm actually an author and I'm also a writer. By God's grace, I'm the author of Life, Humanity, and Leadership According to Golf, which I just released a couple of weeks back on Amazon. Even before that, I've been a writer for more than a decade. So McWord is my pen name. So I decided to
Okay.
adopt it and added it to my surname.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. Thank you for explaining that to us.
Yes.
Yeah, like we said we're going to talk today about sports tourism. Why? If you let's start by this. Could you explain to us what sports tourism is all about and how it differs from normal tourism? So what's sports tourism and what's the difference between sports tourism and me just picking my bag and going to Dubai to just have fun?
Okay. Um, in the simplest form, if you move from point A to point B within a minimum of 3 to 10 kilometers, for sporting purposes, you have engaged in sports tourism. It is that simple.
Mm,
So basically, sports tourism is travel for sporting purposes. Not in order not to be making encumber the definition. In the simplest form, when you move from point A to point B within an at least 3 to 10 kilometer. For sporting purposes, you have done sports tourism.
So if I, for example, decide now where I am in England and I decide to go watch, I don't know, Man United play Man City like they played yesterday in Manchester. It's about 4.5 hours drive from where I am in London. Would I have said I've gone on a sport tourism adventure?
Hello,
Hello, can you hear me, Prince?
I can hear you now.
Can you Okay, yeah. I was just saying, if, for example, I decide, like yesterday, there was a Manchester derby in Old Trafford, and I now decided, as at yesterday, to take a trip from London to Manchester, which is about 4.5 hours drive from London, where I am at the moment. Would that qualify me as being a sports tourist?
You are, without an iota of doubt. You are.
Okay.
It's unquestionable. So basically, you can participate in, you can engage in sports tourism as a participant, an athlete. You can also participate as a spectator. So what you have gone there as a spectator. So you have done sports tourism. You have moved from point A, like I mentioned earlier. You have moved from
Hmm.
point A to point B, and from your analogy, you have traveled nothing less than 10 kilometers.
Definitely, yeah.
You have engaged in sports tourism. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, sports tourism, because there is soft sports tourism and there is hard sports tourism. There is no hard sports tourism without what you did yesterday.
Mm. I
There's no
was going to
sporting.
pick you up on.
Okay.
I was going to talk on that because when I was researching sports tourism, I came across the two words: soft and hard sports tourism. What are those? And could you just explain to us what those are? And at what point in time do an individual go on soft sports tourism or on the hard one?
Okay. Soft sports tourism is basically recreational in nature. It is when an individual, travels for sporting purposes, recreationally, for personal recreation. Now, the major drivers of soft sports tourism are golf, skiing, hiking, rafting, and the likes. So basically, it is when an individual takes him or herself to a certain destination to go to, for recreational purpose.
Mhm.
That is soft sports tourism. Hard sports tourism is more about events where where athletes and their spectators are involved. So
Okay.
that's hard sports tourism. That's the difference. It's more of an individual versus team kind of distinction. In hard excuse me, in hard sports tourism, you have teams playing against each other. You have the spectators coming to cheer them on
Mm.
while they do their thing. But in soft sports tourism, it is just basically an individual or and for his or her bodies, who decide to say, okay, let's go playing golf. For an example, I can say
Okay.
tomorrow morning I want to be in Kigali, I want to be in Nairobi, I want to be in Cape Town. I want to go and play golf, and I don't necessarily need to have a company. That's the beauty of golf. So
Mm.
that's soft sports tourism. It's about um, it's more about the trickle down effect for soft sports tourism because it's in one, two, three kind of. But when it comes to art sports tourism, you're talking about numbers, volume.
Okay. Okay.
Before the pandemic, you must have shared the stadium with a minimum of 40,000 people.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's about volume more than art sports tourism. While in soft sports tourism, it's about, yes, it's always hard up, especially if the destination in question has its own brand of allure. So it definitely hurts up. But then it's about one, two, three, five, 20, as against um, hard sports
Hundreds of
tourism that is
thousands.
always about, yeah, exactly.
Good. Good. You are the founder and CEO of African Sports Tourism Week. I mean, with everything going on in Africa, especially uh, we got issues with security, political tension. Now COVID has come to raise ugly face. Tell us, why would anybody uh, decide to say, okay, you know what, I want to go to Africa and sports tourism? What is there in Africa when it comes to sports tourism that we can showcase to the world and attract people in to come to Africa?
Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to say that Africa has our own brand of allure and experience. Now, um, when you're in Africa, you are in Africa because this is the
Mhm.
melting pot of culture. This is the so there is a whole lot for you. Africa has a whole lot to offer the world as far as tourism is concerned. Now, um, streamlining it down to sports tourism. I always say that safari golf, safari golf is as unique to Africa, is as peculiar to Africa as Buredi Agege going peculiar to Lagos.
Mhm.
So if you really want a proper Ewa going, and exactly the way bread agege, the way we pronounce it here, bread agege is
Yes.
made. You have to come
Hmm.
right down to Lagos. That's
Definitely. Yeah.
exactly the way it is. That's exactly the way it is with Safari Golf. So,
Mm.
um, if you want to enjoy safari, if you want to, um, have that experience where animals, not just animals, sometimes even wild animals, magnanimously share their natural habitat with humans, while eating a dimpled white ball somewhere, around a crafted piece of land dotted by fairways. You have to come to Africa. This is where it is. This is where the experience is. Africa is also a prime destination for adventure.
Mhm.
If you're looking for adventure tourism, Africa is the place to come. So Africa has a whole lot to offer, a whole lot to offer. And as against the narrative by many Western media, there's a good life in Africa. We play polo in Africa, we play golf in Africa. There are there are more than 1,000 golf courses in Africa, with about 70 to 80% of them in South Africa. Africa plays golf. Africa plays polo. We have horse racing. So name it. The only sport I think um, Africa is not yet a destination for right now, I would say Formula One, motorsport. That's the only sport I would say. Well, maybe for now, Africa is not a destination for it. But name it, any other sport. This is the continent this is the continent of road racers. East Africa, we have budding talents in East Africa back here in Lagos, Nigeria, we have the biggest one-day sporting event in Africa. I'm talking about Lagos City Marathon.
Mm.
So Africa is bubbling with life. Africa is not one jungle with huts here and there. We have cities, proper cities. We have proper cities. We have proper towns. We have proper villages. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the melting pot of culture in the world. This is the cradle of humanity. So the world needs to know this, and they need to know that Africa has something to offer them as far as tourism is concerned, as far as sports tourism is concerned.
Thank you for that. Analyzed issues concerning sports tourism in Africa. And again, when we look at sports tourism in Africa, I mean, we people tend to look at it and feel um, the major countries, the major cities around Africa that will probably, as God that allow, just like you say, probably the well-known ones. You got Cape Town, you got the safari in East Africa, you got the one-day marathon in Nigeria, Lagos. In the past, and I'm very sure it's still there, the Paris Dakar rally that was really massive back in the day. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure now if it's still ongoing, which was really really massive. Um, why is the rest of Africa not really tapping into this? I mean, quite recently, we've got Asians countries like Qatar, Dubai, slowly beginning to expand tourism as we know it. Okay, this is just countries, just pure desert, but they are doing everything, to bring people to their country. Obviously, come in with your hard currency. We make sure you're safe. We've got the facilities there for you. Qatar is hosting the next World Cup. Okay, that's sports tourism on its own, which obviously is going to bring billions of dollars back into the economy. Why are Africans not really? Don't let me use not keen. Why are they not going this path? I mean, going by the rich culture of Africa, why are we not really tapping into this business? Okay, don't let me call it recreational activities because it's a multi-billion-dollar business. All right, by governments to say, okay, you know what? If Dubai, Qatar, Singapore, Malaysia can do it, we can obviously do it here.
Okay. Um, and it is my hope that the helmsmen at the Sports Commission, at the tourism boards in Africa are listening to me right now, because I'm gonna be talking about what is wrong with sports tourism in Africa. A lot of destinations in Africa are not looking at sports tourism from the larger picture. And what that means is that African destinations need to understand that sporting events, for an example, which is a major part of sports tourism, sporting events are not just another event. Sporting events are multi-purpose tools that are used in opening up destinations to more arrivals, and foreign investments.
Mhm.
So that is the big picture from which Africa is not looking at sports tourism, which is why a certain tourism board would, for 5 years, stay aloof to a sporting event that brings nothing less than 40,000 people to that destination for that event.
Mm.
Now, this is also the challenge of understanding on both parts, on the part of sports administrators and tourism practitioners, aka tourism board. If both of them are not looking at sports tourism from that bigger picture of sports tourism being a multi-purpose tool that is used in opening up destinations to foreign investment and more arrivals, then they will be missing it. They will keep staying aloof to each other. Sports commissions and ministries would be waiting for tourism boards to come to them. The tourism boards will feel, I'm not concerned. This is not tourism. But hey, sports is actually an excuse for tourism. Sport is an excuse, a perfect excuse, one of the biggest excuses in the world for travel. And like I always say, sport is a pilgrimage. It brings footfalls like no other. These are these are understandings. This is the understanding administrators in both sport and tourism landscapes in Africa need to have. And when they have that, then there is an exchange of and of fellowship across the two landscapes. Then they start working together. They start maximizing opportunities together. Now, I'll give two examples. One, okay, you want to build a stadium. Whichever way you want to look at it, a stadium is a tourism collateral because it brings people, it assembles people in thousands. So it's a tourism collateral. And these people I'm talking about will come from far and near, rather. So whichever way you want to look at it, a stadium is a tourism collateral. But you want to build a stadium. I'll use Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, South Africa, as a very perfect example. Moses Mabhida Award Stadium is multidisciplinary and also multi-purpose. When there are no football matches, the stadium hosts bungee jumping, zip lining, and other activities that tourists can engage in. That way, the stadium is bringing in income,
Mm.
and it doesn't need to solely rest on government, rely on government for funding. Now, it takes a country where sport and tourism exchange a hand of fellowship to have that understanding that, hey, we need to work together and build something like that. Secondly, no one is trained to to create and to curate experience for human pleasure like tourism practitioners. Now, a sports commission can host a sporting event. The experience parts to it can only be best maximized by involvement of tourism practitioners, people in the leisure business. This is why they need to work together. This is why they need to, because what I see a lot in Africa is a case where we host a sporting event and we drop the experience of people who come from far and near. Nigeria 99 was a very good example. we drop the experience. Sorry, we drop their expectation. Nigerian 99 was, I call Nigerian 99 a prime opportunity swept under a pile of rubble. People excuse me, a lot of people had read Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. I mean, I'm talking about in Europe, in America. They've read about they've read Chinua Achebe's work. They've heard about Wole Soyinka. They've read his books. They've heard about Fela and his great genre of music. They've watched the likes of DJ Okocha do wonders, do magic with football,
Mhm.
and they are wondering what makes a Nigerian tick. Nigeria 99 offered them that opportunity to go and have a proper experience of Nigeria. And what did we do? We dropped their experience. They basically left their hotel room, left their hotel rooms, went to the stadium, from the stadium back to their rooms, and that was their routine until they left. We never maximized it. The same thing is still ongoing, and it's the reason why I specifically went to meet my high school senior, Bukola Olopade, who is the organizer. Egmont, we need to give Lagos City Marathon a proper sports tourism phase. And he's been very cooperative. We've been doing a lot trying to give it a proper sports tourism phase. Let me not let the cat out of the bag yet, but the
Yeah.
2021 edition is going to look a whole lot more like a sports tourism engagement. It's baffling that the tourism board have stayed aloof to this event for 5 years, and they're still not looking like they really want to get engaged. Meanwhile, this is something they should naturally have inclination towards. So basically, in a nutshell, this is the problem with sports tourism in Africa. Sports and tourism administrators don't understand why they need each other, and that's why they stay aloof to each other. Now, let me take this a little bit from another angle again. When a sports commission stays aloof to
Tourism board.
tourism boards, here is what they don't understand. In Africa, in Nigeria also, about 70% about 70% of African countries depend on government, rely on government for funding. Now, you work with the tourism board to maximize the opportunity in a sporting event. You are indirectly making everyone that comes, you know, to watch that event to empty their wallets while smiling before they leave. Which means that there is more plates of ishewu for government to tax. There's more plates of ishewu for government to tax. There is
Yeah.
more drinks for government to tax. There is more taxi rides for government to tax. There is more tourism levy for government. There is more, of course, tourism levy at hotels and other taxes around hospitality for government. So what that sports commission is doing indirectly is helping the pocket that funds it. And as a result, when that same sports commission goes back to the government next time and say, I need funding, the government will be happy to see its face. Say, hey, you make money for me. Why not? So we need to understand, we need to start looking at sports tourism from the bigger picture in African nations, but sports and tourism administrators need to understand that they need each other. They are partners in progress, especially in the development the of their destination. So we need to, like I said, see things from the bigger picture.
Okay, Prince, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we will go on a tour of the issue of government not. I don't want to use the word not knowing what to do, and I don't want to overflow the issue of education. Not to educate them because they do. They're educated in how to probably embezzle money and how to do some other stuff. They're educated in that part. So I don't want to say they're not educated and not knowing what to do. So we're going to talk about that and obviously talk about the South African experience for the World Cup. The experience South Africa generated about $9 billion in today's money was pumped into the South African economy for the World Cup. So we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll just pick on those ones. Thanks for still keeping up with us on the Way Show. My name is Wale. We've been talking so far about sports tourism, especially zeroing in on Africa. How can Africa meet up? But now we don't want to. We're not saying we want to meet up to what probably alternative Europe. We want to meet up to what's probably by African standards. And if we're going to look at it critically, what Africa's got to offer in terms of sports tourism is probably massively more bigger than what you've got in Europe and other countries. Why? Because we've got the culture, and that's key. We got the culture, we got the tradition in Africa, which obviously is just like Prince said, very alluring, and it's a pool. Okay, Prince. Before we went on the short break, I was just talking about the fact that the South African World Cup, when the World Cup came to South Africa, generated about in today's money about $9 billion to the South African economy. The sports stadia that they used back then are still in use at the moment. Nigeria 99, okay, with billions of naira budgeted, probably billions of dollars budgeted for Nigeria 99. One, the stadia that we used, most of them are not functioning at the moment. Instead, we're building more stadiums, which obviously, again, we see our maintenance culture. Okay, the national stadium today is probably, I don't know, an eyesore. Okay, and the other stadium around the countries, we just don't want to talk about that. Is it what is really wrong? I mean, you mentioned the fact that the sports commission or the sports minister, the sports whatever you want to call it, and the tourism board and the tourism minister are probably not working hand in hand together to probably think about generating. I mean, this could make a lot of money for Nigeria. This could provide jobs for youths, millions of youths, okay, in Nigeria. In England, here, just in southwest in London, before Wimbledon, that's a tennis competition, just one tennis competition once a year. People make thousands of pounds for that. and they're not really involved in running Wimbledon. How do they make the money? A lot of people have houses around that area. People come from all over the world to come and watch Wimbledon for a week, 2 weeks. People rent their flats, they rent their houses to people that have come from all over the world to watch this game, and they make a substantial amount of money just for 2 weeks of tennis. 2 weeks of tennis. In Nigeria, imagine we hosting, imagine the marathon you're talking about, the Lagos Marathon, Lagos City Marathon. And funny enough, good enough, we actually had Bukola Olapade Ozugula was on this show about a few months ago, and we talked about the issue and his plans, which obviously was laudable, very brilliant. Totally agree with what he's doing. And I'm very happy that you've mentioned that we need to introduce that sports tourism aspect to that competition. What is it? What is the problem? Now, I don't want to go on a large part and say Africa. I just want to zoom in on Nigeria. What is the problem with the people at the end of affairs? When I say affairs, now we're talking about sports and tourism. What is it with them that they don't? I don't want to be rude and say they don't think, because they do think. I mean, people think about doing all sorts with money. Okay, why are they not partnering people like you yourselves, um, coming to you to say, you know what, yeah, young man, come, let us have a proposal. What are you doing? How can it affect Nigeria? How can we move this country? How can we not be less dependent on oil? Okay, we no, we get quite a lot of money from oil, but tourism, Dubai, everyone knows Dubai as an oil company, but not a lot of people know them now as an oil company. Once you think about Dubai now, what comes to your mind? Tourism, tourism. They don't think about the oil. So what is the problem with the typical Nigerian politician who is given the task of leading a ministry that obviously have technocrats, and they just just go to work, 9 o'clock, sign in, I'm here today, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, gone, and get paid without really using the faculty. So what is the problem? Why are we not thinking out of the box? A nation of over 200 million people, intelligent people, people from Nigeria go outside, make a name for themselves, build the countries they are in, and Nigeria is, just sleepwalking about. I'm sorry I'm being harsh now. It's just the fact that, when you see things like this going on in other countries that started way after Nigeria. Dubai was a desert, for Christ's sake, for 40 odd years ago. Look at what they've turned themselves into, with nearly the same amount of oil money Nigeria has. And where are we now? We're still ending SARS. We're still battling Boko Haram. We're still battling over 300 people, children, you know, kidnapped in Katsina, where a sitting president is from. We're still battling that. 20th century, 21st century. It's ridiculous. Your take on that? I'm sorry, I've rambled. Sorry, Prince. I think you're mute. Okay, yeah, you can continue now. Yeah, yes, yeah, go on. We can hear you now.
Okay. I think the problem back home is that politics politics takes precedence over everything else. Politics, it is always politics first, party first, never the people. And this is the reason why it is always about who was there for them while they were campaigning, who spent, who sponsored their campaign, who joined them in. Let me not go into those details.
Mhm.
It is always about politics. So they are not bothered about competence. They're not bothered about, is he competent? Is she competent? No. Ah, He was he was really instrumental in my victory. Come, come and be the commissioner for this. Come and be the DG for that. Meanwhile, you are killing the institutions. When you bring in square pegs into a round hole, it will never fit in. And this is the same circle we've been going for years. So until competence becomes the first thing we consider, we keep going in that circle. So that is exactly where the problem is. We have a whole lot of wrong people in position. So until we stop doing that, because this a good chunk of them are just there to see what can I get out of here. And if they are not getting out of it, they will purposely kill that ministry, that agency. They will just choose not to do anything.
Hmm.
Well, since I can't make money, someone is holding my hand. I can't, I can't embezzle. I can't do this. Forget it. Let's all be looking. That's how that's the level to which some people can sabotage, institutions and government in this country. So these are some of the problems. Um, I'm 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 happy with the current Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare. He's been engaging stakeholders a lot. He's been showing signs that he really want to work and he wants to engage stakeholders. I was happy to serve in the sports industry thematic group, Nigeria Economic Summit group, and myself and other bright minds within Nigerian sports ecosystem came together to give recommendations on how to have a proper sports industry in Nigeria, a thriving one for that matter. And the sports minister has been quite engaging. He's been he has been given listening ears and all. And earlier in the year, the first of its kind, the recommendations myself and other bright minds in the industry gave um, dovetailed into the first ever MOU signed between Nigeria Economic Summit Group and the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports. We are hoping that God will grant him the grace to implement those noble recommendations. And here is not getting right in this part of the world. We need to understand that, okay, it is easier in Europe. Last year at African Sports Tourism Week in Ghana, I had Geoff Wilson, who happened to be a consultant to FIFA, and also a board member of Northern Ireland Tourism Board, and he took us how Northern Ireland uses sports tourism to drive footfalls. So over there, they understand that they need to work together. In Europe, they understand that a lot. Yes, there are other, excuse me, there are a few countries that are not yet doing that so much also in Europe, but then by and large, they understand that in Europe, in the Americas, that sport and tourism practitioners and administrators need to be working hand in hand. And one of my recommendations in the one of my recommendations um, to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports through, of course, through the Sports Industry Thematic Group was that there is a need, and if just in case they are listening to me right now, I'm giving my consultancy for free.
Hopefully they take it.
So there is a need for a sports desk at the tourism board
Mm.
and a tourism desk at the sports commission, not to be manned by just anybody, but someone who has an understanding of both landscapes. Because if they do, if there is a sports desk, if there is a tourism desk at the um, sports what's it called, at the sports
Ministry.
commission
Mm.
or ministry, but, what that sports desk means is that you are meant to be relating with the tourism ministry or board on behalf of the sports commission or ministry. You are meant to be carrying them along. You're meant to be explaining to them in the language they understand how the next sporting events that the sports commission is sponsoring or participating in is going to favor the destination, because that individual has an understanding of tourism and of sports. The same thing at a tourism desk. Take for an example, if at the tourism board, sorry, if at the tourism board rather, if at the tourism board there is a sport desk, the person that mans it will be able to tell them, say, hey, this marathon that happens every year is a perfect avenue to market this destination. You need to be involved. And then they will ask, how can we get involved? Then he relates with the sports commission and says, hey, the tourism guys want to come in. We need to do this, we need to do that. And it's the same government, for crying out aloud. For crying out
Yeah.
loud. It's the same government. So there is a need for sport desk at the tourism ministry or board. There's a need for tourism desk at the sports commission. And it should not be manned not by just anyone, but an individual who has an understanding of both landscapes. But I have an understanding that this is Africa, this is Nigeria. They will still be staying aloof to each other. And this is why, in everything that I do on the African continent, as far as sports tourism is concerned, I try to engage the government. And I talk to them from the policy background. I make them understand that we need to drive this from the policy angle. If it is a policy, if it is in, should I call it code of conduct
Mm-hmm.
of the tourism board, never to stay aloof to any sporting event that brings a minimum of 5,000, that assembles a minimum of 5,000. It is, well, let me not use the word crime, but someone can be sanctioned for not participating. Go there. It costs you nothing. It's the same government. Go there. Let them know a lot of in a number of destinations. The citizens don't even know what their country has to offer them as far as tourism is concerned. Go there, engage them. It won't cost you a fortune. It is still the same country, same government. Go there, exhibit, engage them. Let them know what their destination has to offer them. It's probably the reason why they always like to travel out of the country when they are looking for experience. Sometimes they don't even know that their experience is at their backyard. So don't just sit in the office. And the same thing applies to sports commission. Don't go. I want to stress this emphatically. I think it's about time we had a policy um, that makes it out of place for any sports commission or LOC to go bidding for a sporting event without someone from the tourism board in the team. Because when you are done bidding for this sporting event, there are questions you need to ask. How many people will be touching down at this destination as a result of this event? How many people will this event bring? Can this destination handle it? As far as hospitality is concerned, do we have enough to handle this number, this volume? Aviation, travel logistics, as far as I won't mention the name, but there was a particular sporting event where in Nigeria where you know athletes were stranded, athletes from another country.
So how do we want them to come back to Nigeria then if they were stranded in the first experience?
It was disastrous.
Mm.
This I'm talking about some of the finest athletes on the continent already tweeting negative things.
Mm.
Now, if what's it called had been working together, if tourism boards, sports commissions, and sports organizers and stuff have been working together, they would have understood. Oh, this destination, these are the challenges. Then we know how to improvise.
Mm.
If the hotels are not enough, can we build more before the event? Can we encourage people to invest more and build more hotels before the event? If no, what is the next option? Can we improvise on tents? You know, comfortable tents, air conditioned, where athletes can have a good night's sleep with security everywhere. What can we do so they don't go and make a mess of the whole opportunity? So these are some of the policies I'm suggesting to African countries. Don't allow wastage of opportunities by allowing sports and tourism practitioners or administrators to continue staying with each other. And most importantly, sports is a billion dollar industry. As at 2018, sports tourism was already $862 billion industry
Mhm.
globally.
And we're still far off
So,
getting to any chunk of that at all.
so we really, really need to do something about this. Yes, you
Well,
see, I understand the fact that you're a president, you are the president, you are the governor. There are guys who helped you during your campaign, campaign period. They sponsored your campaign, they gave their time and all. You know, but you need to understand that certain ministries and agencies are very sensitive. They should only be handled by technocrats. because they are economy drivers. So you can't just put square pegs in round hole, every round hole. You're going to kill the country. You're going to kill the economy.
Anyway, well, thank you so much for that because we're running out of time now. Just quickly, take Anthony Njoku's comment, saying nothing seems to be moving forward because of the kind of people handling the affairs of the nation. That's exactly in tune with what you've been saying, McWord. Anthony Joker just said that, and that the problem we have, and that's a problem we have in that part of the world. Totally agree with you, I think. And probably if the powers that be are watching this show today, Prince McWord has given you a very free advice, even though you're not paying for it. It's giving you free consultancy, and if you do need more consultancy from him, he's very reachable. But this time around, you definitely have to pay him because all this is not going to go for nothing. He might be very patriotic, he might be, but at the end of the day, we still need to support um, what he is doing. Before we round up quickly, when is the next African Sports Tourism Week?
It's October 2021 in Rwanda.
In Kigali.
Yes, in Kigali to be precise.
Okay. Hopefully, we will be there. If we're not, hopefully we should be there to cover your events and obviously to see what is going on around Africa. We will be talking about that so we can be there to cover the event and obviously
You really need to come. You really need to come to Rwanda. It's a serious destination
definitely.
in Africa.
Definitely, definitely we will be making arrangements to do that. It's a shame a country that was in bitter civil war just a few years ago, suddenly becoming a destination of choice in Africa, where a country as big as we are, Nigeria, we're talking about now, with all the petrodollars and all the bright minds, we're still in doldrums. It's a shame, but thank you so much, Prince, for coming on this show. Thank you for your
Pleasure.
time. It's been wonderful talking about sports tourism today. It's very educational, very informative, and we only wish you the very best. And we look forward to Kigali Sports Tourism, African Sports Tourism Week. We look forward to that, and obviously we'll be touching bases with you before that time, and obviously during that time and after that time to see what's going on and how we can transform the face of Africa. Okay, because the fact that the Middle East and the Asian Arab Asian countries are now beginning to be the choice places for tourism, sports tourism, whatever tourism you want to call it. It's not disturbing. It's welcomed. But Africa is a cradle of civilization, cradle of culture and tradition. We should be waking up from our slumber. We need to bring people back to Africa, not just to safari and what have you. So many beautiful things in Africa that we can obviously tap into, develop, and make money from. Once again, thank you so much for your time. And we will be calling upon you again, probably closer to that time when you'll be having your week to talk to us about what we should be looking forward to during the week.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Thank you so much. And that's the show today. Is a wrap for today. And we've been talking to Prince Deji Ajomale-McWord, and he is a sports tourism expert. And it's African Sports Tourism Week. The next one is coming up in October. We'll be updating you with the days. And it's going to be in a country called Rwanda, okay, in the capital of Rwanda, which is Kigali. So hopefully we will try and report live from there. If you're a sponsor watching, you want to put your money into the program, why not? Feel free. If we get sponsorship, we will be there. Even if we don't get sponsorship, we should be there in Kigali to report on this a wonderful moment of bringing back to Africa. So thank you so much for everyone watching today. Everyone just made comments. Thank you so much. See there, Shin. Thank you, Anthony and Joko. Thank you for the comment. Expasa, Sami Emmanuel Bumiomo. But thank you everyone for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the show. Okay, subscribe to the show. Okay, tomorrow is the football show. Monday, I'll be back with that, and I've got someone very important from Nigerian Football League. That person actually is the team manager of the Rangers International of Enugu. I should not say that, but let me just let you know. So we're going to be talking about Nigerian Football League. We're talking about Rangers. We're talking about the Super Eagles, a lot of stuff we're talking about. So join me tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Okay. So before I go, thank you to my the man behind the show, who is the producer and co-director of this show, Yomi Ongija. Thank you so much for the time, for all you're doing. Special thanks to you. On behalf of everyone who's made this show possible today, I want to wish you the very best of this week ahead. Stay safe and join us next week. Thank you.